Come on, come on, come on in the room. Welcome to FinOps in full bloom. I'm Talia, your friendly neighborhood fam, and today we have the wonderful, gentle, thoughtful, intelligent Brian Mullins. Hi, Brian.
Hi,
All
Talia.
right, I want to give you a proper intro, so give you a moment. I will read your intro, and if you have anything you'd like to share, feel free. All right, we already heroes. Brian Mullins is the head of engineering at Diaceutics, where he leads teams in building a platform that improves patient identification, ensuring the right treatment at the right time. Brian focuses on driving efficiency, AI integration, and FinOps. It's so great to have you. Thank you for joining our podcast, Brian.
It's a delight to be here.
Yay!
Really excited to be here.
Do you have anything else you'd like to share, or should I give you your first hot take question?
I'm happy to jump straight in and talk about these hot takes.
All right, first hot take question. So, hot takes is I ask you a question and you tell me your thoughts about it. Really quick, really easy breezy, quick warm up, and then we'll jump into a transformation story and take notes. But right now, we'll start with something smaller. Hot take: AI spend is the new expense account. Everyone's using it, but who owns it? What do you think?
I believe we all own it. As a average user of Cloud Zero, we kind of have a lot of visibility and transparency. So we've built it right into our own systems to be visible from the get-go. So the teams using AI have full visibility of the cost, and therefore they take ownership of that. So whether it's a data science project or a data engineering pipeline or an application on the front end, we're able to track and see where it's going and attribute it just like any other compute resource out there.
Nice.
So we pretty much treat it like our existing expenses. It is just another line on our multi document of costs in our Cloud Zero system, and we essentially attribute it appropriately through that. So really, the ownership is all of us who are using it,
Yes.
and it is basically owned by the teams themselves and tracked by the teams themselves.
Everybody. The answer is everybody, says Brian. I love it. And you sound so casual about it. You're like, yeah, we just AI. Everyone's freaking out about it. It's a line item. We figured it, we figured it out. Everyone owns it, and we're all gonna help to pay for it, and we're all going to use it. So are you using um any new or traditional ways to engage everyone to own it? Because that is a big step for people to take ownership. And it sounds like you've got that set at Diaceutics.
We've been with Cloud Zero for a couple of years now, so we've kind of have Cloud Zero embedded into our processes. So when AI came along, it just, one of the first things I probably asked our account manager was, can we connect and can we get this going? And we got the data in and we were able to track it every day. So
Wow.
not only did it become very visible very quickly in Diaceutics, we were able to see it there, and we had the processes in place already and Cloud Zero already embedded. So the teams using it already had access to it. And it actually just enabled them to see the cost faster in the turnaround in our experiments with AI and just accelerate us making decisions based off of that as well.
Oh, powerful. Actually, speaking of making decisions, I have another hot take about decisions. Hot take number 2. I wanted to speak about telemetry, a telemetry trap. You, in our guest survey, so heroes, I have a guest survey so I can learn everybody's thoughts and understand their perspectives inside of FinOps, and I can prep. One thing you noted was tracing costs isn't always the path to cutting costs. You have to really understand architecture. And I feel like you hit me as an AI, an architecture person. So, what's your hot take on telemetry as a trap or the truth?
So telemetry is brilliant. It gives you a lot more data. I think in that survey I also said I love to kind of explore and act like a detective and
Yes.
identify different things. And there's a trap there of you get a bit too obsessed with one cost and you're like, where is this cost coming from? And then eventually you drill down and it's $1 and you're going, okay, I've just wasted a lot of time finding that $1. And maybe, there's other ones out there that are much better that I should maybe concentrate on, say the ones that are costing $1,000.
Yes.
And they're the ones where you're kind of identifying where your focus should be. But like you were kind of saying there, just because the cost is high doesn't mean essentially that it's wrong to be high, or maybe there was architectural decisions or technological decisions that were made for that reason. So, for example, maybe we chose a specific technology because of the safety or security measures or the data residency there, which could increase your costs, and you not realize that. But at the same time, you can architect your system to be more performant as well. And there are some anti-patterns there where if you try and do too much cost performance in the initial build, you'll end up
Yes.
spending longer building it for less gain. And you may not get the gains until you actually have the information of the actual running of it. So my kind of approach there is you need to get real understanding of what you're building, what you're doing, and the data running it. And then if you need to alter the architecture to support that or the infrastructure, then that's when you start doing it. So trying not to premature optimize, which is, again, one of those kind of things that some people fall into. You get too stuck in optimizing something that is not giving out the value that you want.
I love this concept. You said premature optimizing. It's important. You can't optimize. You can't clean your dish while you're eating your food. You have to pick one at a time. And so for me, when you speak about optimize and architecture, and we're talking about FinOps. So let's shift to our FinOps for AI for FinOps segment. And it brings me to your KPIs for AI. Like you want to get informed about AI so that you can put KPIs on those workloads and you can track different parts of that workload. Could you give me some details? I mean, we're opening playbooks here and I'm
Yeah,
interested.
so we're quite lucky with the amount of telemetry we feed into Cloud Zero and what we track across our entire system. So we're lucky in the sense of we can identify down to which pipeline is costing or which part
Wow.
of a pipeline is costing. And that helps us kind of focus our energy on where should we optimize. And one of the key things is the pipelines generally aren't one system, it's across all of our systems. So we have them all united now in Cloud Zero. When it comes to AI, it was the same process. We have the telemetry, we have standard naming practices, we use cost formation to tag all of the workloads and bring it all together, and we're able to identify it. Now, obviously, AI is extremely expensive. When we're experimenting and building things out, we would say build our estimations of what we would expect things to cost off of that unit cost. And we would use that using real data. So we would actually say run 10 units through, 100 units, 1,000, 10,000. And from that, we would get all of our kind of unit metrics to be able to estimate 100,000 units going
I
through the system.
love this win. I love this because this is exactly what I speak to when you're saying get granular. You're really, I mean, you've created a sandbox for yourself here where you can take real data. I'm just applauding you. Taking real data and able to test your theory, but not really a theory. You want to see it. Like, hey, how stable is this floor? Step a little foot and maybe a little bit more of my weight. Okay, let's start jumping up and down on it. Okay, it's secure.
Yeah, and we know, AI can get really expensive really fast if
Yes.
you move too quick. And what we've noticed is that those early on tests give us the capability to pivot very quickly before we build too much along a path. And what we've identified actually is we actually get slightly cheaper with quantity. So there's as more data is coming
Yes.
through, we can actually see the parallel processing essentially makes it that slightly bit cheaper on a unit metric. Now, it could be only 1% cheaper, but that kind of builds up, when we're talking hundreds of thousands of units passing through that data
Yeah,
or
and
those AI systems.
you're leading us straight into your transformation story. Having double the usage, heroes, get your note app out. Double the usage, flat costs. I I'm blown even by the concept of this. So first of all, congratulations. You've broken some code and figured something out. Also, details. Could you share that journey of your transformation story?
Yeah, I think the transformation started for us when probably before we started with Cloud Zero, we started trying to bring our costs into a kind of a unified view,
Yeah.
which is quite difficult to do across different cloud providers and things like that. And you end up in Excel. And each system having their own little dashboards, and you'd be pulling from each one of those. And eventually, one of our partners suggested talking to yourselves, and we brought you on. I will say, not everyone was convinced initially by the idea of using an app. Oh, it's just going to bring all our costs together. We can do that ourselves in Excel. But within 6 months, we had already brought the data in together, and we had identified opportunities for savings.
Nice.
So bringing yourselves in paid for itself. So that kind of gave us a really good win there. But when we started adding telemetry into it, there was too much redundancy built in, too much backups built in, or
Mm.
duplicative things that were very easy for us to turn off very fast. We identified different tiers of storage to reduce those costs for long-term storage. And one of my favorite ones is we receive data on a regular basis, and we have a process which ingests that data, and we have many data providers. And there was one task which was running for every single one of them whenever it occurred, but it only really needed to run once against all of them. So what we had was this was occurring, say, 6 or 7 times a day, and it only needed to occur once. And it wasn't a cheap job either. So we were able to optimize that and remove nearly $6,000 a month in
What?
processing in that one feature. And what's brilliant about that is we were able to identify the before cost. We created an insight in Cloud Zero, and then we verified it afterwards. So there
Yes.
was no guesswork. It was all based on live data being fed in and the correct telemetry feeding into our systems as well to allow us to make those changes. And we made loads of those little changes, and they add up really fast.
Yes.
And that allows us then to say reinvest that into our AI costs, allowing for innovation and transformation there. And again, applying that same discipline to our AI costs, we have the same granularity. We're able to identify which workflows, which jobs, which AIs, which models, how many tokens we're using, how many tokens we're not using. And it's a really
Mm.
powerful way to manage it. We've identified how to reduce costs on client dashboards by identifying the cost, but also watching out for the performance on the other side. Because cost
Mhm.
is only one metric.
Yeah.
It's not a case that, oh, if we reduce cost, that's the win. Sometimes it's actually okay to have the cost because maybe you want to spend it to be a little faster somewhere else as well. And that's where that knowledge of your systems and having the knowledge of the cost, and you can do that correct cost benefit analysis of, is this cost worth it? Yes, it is, actually. That's exactly why we want it. But then you can do the opposite with other costs. You can go, that's not worth it. That's one we can maybe turn the dial down on and let that one run a bit longer. And that way you get a lot more levers to control your systems and your costs through the organization. So another one we noticed very easily was we had a project which was, or we have multiple projects on products. And we noticed one of them was a little bit more expensive than the others,
Uh-huh.
about 3 times more expensive.
What? Not a little bit.
Uh,
That's a
yeah,
lot of bit.
it adds up fairly fast, yes.
Yes.
But the thing about it was using, say, a larger warehouse. And what we did was we realized that when the person building it was building it, they forgot to switch the warehouse back down. And we were able to spot that because it was more expensive than the other ones. And we were able to turn it down fairly fast. And, that prevents us from getting our costs up as well.
Yeah,
So
I
there's
love
this
this.
visibility that gives us that power.
Yes, you're giving it, I mean, the full playbook on how you went to 100% increase in the platform with your queries to flat costs while introducing AI. You're talking about telemetry, cost visibility, cost value comparison. I think these are absolutely potent. And you're using dimensions to get context for that, to get granular with unit cost. This is a comprehensive rollout that you're doing. And this is how I
Yes.
understand that engineers are engaged because you're giving them something that's relevant to what they do. You're working within their flow. And it sounds like you're engaging a lot more personas than engineering. Yes?
Yes, we actually have multi-team disciplines, so teams manage or are able to view their own costs. And I've had other teams, so non-engineering teams or delivery teams, actually come to me and talk to me saying, "Oh, we noticed a spike in our cost, and we've changed these settings in the system to reduce our own costs," and they've brought down their own costs in that way. And in the same way, our data science team are able to access, say, our AI costs as they're innovating and building new things, and they're able to reduce those costs or increase them depending on the value that's coming out of it. So we have a lot of visibility there. I will say, when it comes to adoption, we're quite long with Cloud Zero. I'd say about 2 years now, maybe three.
Yeah.
Uh, and when we first started out, I didn't take it as approach of here's Cloud Zero and off you go. I took it as an approach of building it into our process. So I
Nice.
actually had Cloud Zero reporting into the team on a weekly basis with the budget reports, reporting anomalies, and sharing links, creating insights, and it became embedded in our processes. So that
Wow.
now when we're talking costs, we were talking Cloud Zero. And I was able to grow organically then because then they'd be sharing it with other teams. And I grew organically into the company. So now what we have is people are aware of it and we're able to use it and share the information. And it is really about just visibility of that information and having the visibility over your own actions in the system to be able to say, oh, my team can optimize that, or an alert to say, you've gone over budget this week. We should really look into that.
Look, I think that's powerful. You said a phrase, it's quotable. When you're talking cost, you're talking Cloud Zero. Because that really flows towards if we're going into our FinOps and Full Bloom segment, I asked, what seeds are you planting? And one of your notes was really around, it was interesting because it was Cloud Zero's beyond FinOps. And you're talking about monitoring, you're talking about, you just said alerting. So this seed, can you speak to this seed that you're planting with teams?
Yeah, so when you're looking at costs and things like that, it's like, oh yeah, the costs have gone up. But
Yeah.
why did the costs go up? Is there a security breach? Is there a rogue system gone off? Did someone forget to turn off the really large GPU unit and they're running some form of AI on it? You know, there's a myriad of ideas and reasons of a spike in cost. And some of them could be, we just got a really large set of data and we decided to run it through our AI and see what would happen. And that could be a perfectly valid, and you go, okay, that's okay. I can ignore that alert. But then, if you look at it, security is a big thing for anyone
Yes.
who runs any cloud infrastructure. But if you have full visibility on your cost and everything is being tracked there, any spike in cost that is irregular is alerted. So therefore, if there's a cost that you're not aware of in your teams, or the team is attributed a cost they're not familiar with,
Yes.
it's a sign to investigate to say, hold on a second, what's going on here? If we've never used this service before and it's suddenly spinning up resources, why is that? Now, I can't say it's ever happened to me and we've never had anything like that, but the concept is there that, besides all of my security monitors and other stuff, I at least know that when the bill goes high, I'm going to be told that the bill goes high fairly fast with an anomaly from Cloud Zero. And that could be another early warning sign to have a look into something. Or it
Very
could
nice.
just be a data engineer using a 5XL large warehouse to run something and accidentally triggering these
And
things.
accidentally
But
trigger.
again, but they're things that allow more visibility into your platform and alerting processes to engage and have those thought processes. So while you can think of the FinOps of stuff, it's also the operations. So like the ops side where, yes, the financials feed into it, but they're also relatable to the other KPIs across the system as well. So you're able to say, performance increases, performance degradation. Why didn't we pay as much for AI usage last month as we did the month before? Is there something wrong? Are we missing? Is our data going down? You know, you can use all of that for insights into different things
Yes.
that you wouldn't initially think of when you're thinking Cloud Zero FinOps. But when you delve into the underneath of it, you can identify that, oh, wow, there's actually other signals that could possibly be happening, but not necessarily happening. It could also just me being a bit more paranoid on security and things like that.
And you spark
But
those kinds of
I find a
conversations.
healthy paranoia on security is a good idea.
You said a healthy paranoid. It's true. With security, the answer is be paranoid. Always. So what if we switch from seeds and what you're planting, what are you nurturing? What's starting to build? What are you trying to keep? I know you mentioned transparency with budgets. What? Everyone sees this budget? How is that going?
Um, I would say most people probably don't pay attention to the budget panel. They're all very focused on their specific teams, initiatives, and costs, and focused on the line items. But the leaders are kind of
Yeah.
we discuss around the budgets. We have budgets tracking different teams. We have budgets tracking different pipelines. We have budgets tracking a whole host of different things, just so that we can see what's going on our system in many different granularities
Yeah,
there.
budgets for budgets.
So I actually have an overall budget and then it's
Stop.
all subsetted. So I have gone fairly far on it, but it gives you that kind of analysis. And also, you can have a budget per team and it reports off to them as well. So kind of what I'm nurturing really is visibility, transparency,
Mm,
and ownership. Because while we've started this organic growth with engineering and expanding that out to other teams, you still need to encourage that and nurture it and not scare them because if someone accidentally uses a large warehouse and they don't want a big deal made out of it, but the idea is visibility and knowledge to prevent it and learn from it in the future. So really the key for me is that Cloud Zero is a key tool in information
yes.
for us and deciding on cost benefit because in AI, like I said, you can run off costs fairly fast. So we should always be considering when we're building new parts of our system, what is the cost? And it's funny because when you're working in a small cost set, oh yeah, I've just ran 100 through, it only costs $10. And then you ask, how much when we run 100,000 through? And it's that thought process that we're encouraging within our teams to think of the big picture, think of those costs and the granular costs around it as well.
And that's big. I mean, just that people are starting to ask that question. So then if you shift to what you're nurturing, what's working really well? What are you blooming in? I'm feeling like you're going towards optimizing, talking about that, making informed decisions, but what do you think you're blooming in?
So we're certainly excelling in our telemetry and our visibility of costs. Maybe a little bit too much. I may have went a little too far on it, but yeah, it's about learning about which telemetry is there
Yeah.
now. Because with all that telemetry, some of it can be noise, some of it can be misleading. If you find a
Yeah.
$1 expense that you're after, but we're really, I'm encouraging people to use the telemetry to kind of drive more create insights, so that we can do more before and after kind of analysis of say optimizations if we're doing optimizations. And it means the exact same thing when we're looking at AI. We need to have the same discipline that we have for the rest of the engineering items. It is another tool on our belt, and we need to track it the exact same way. And that's really where I'm nurturing our cost management right now, because again, it's the new big thing, and everybody wants to keep an eye on it. Everybody wants to be spending loads on it, but at the same time, we want to spend responsibly with the cost, and we want to spend safely with the cost as well. So
Definitely.
visibility and understanding of that telemetry is really important for us to correctly associate the cost, which means we can correctly analyze the cost.
And then you, allocate that cost correctly, which it sounds like you've really succeeded at. So congratulations on it. You mentioned a couple of things throughout this entire time. Um, and then so you're speaking on trends of cost optimization, having discussions, getting granular. These are what you're currently working on. Speaking of trends, what trends do you see bubbling up or coming inside of FinOps? Sure, it's going to be AI, but I don't know.
Yes, I would expect us to see probably a bit more AI coming in and probably analyzing our costs in the future and identifying it. I know you have lovely tools coming out yourselves,
Yeah.
like MCP servers and things like that. And I can say that I've enjoyed my taste of the MCP server from Cloud Zero as well.
So you're
So
using
I've
it?
been integrating. Yes,
Oh, sweet.
I am already using it, and it helps with reconciliation with our own internal finance team. So we're able to just say, Cloud Zero, give me the numbers for this month's reconciliation, and Cloud Zero is the source of truth for our engineering costs, and we're able to integrate it. So what I kind of foresee as kind of the trends is more and more integrated data and more telemetry,
More
which
and
I'm
more
quite excited
telemetry.
about. Excited about, because again, the telemetry is the part that actually is the
Yep.
powerhouse behind identifying those savings, and it's the difference between working on a $1 problem and $1,000 problem.
Absolutely. And your projections, the idea that you estimate and project before you move is beautiful and it's strategic and it takes a level of restraint to do that and to put the work in. Actually, we're at our last question and I really just ask everyone when you're working, what's on your playlist? I'll go first in case you want to know what mine is to give you a second to think. I am surprised that I am listening to AI songs. I was on Spotify and I find that the music can be really dark lately, and I don't like dark. I'm very bright. So I found some playlists that was very uplifting. And I was like, wow, this is it. This is beautiful. And then somebody was like, that's AI. I was like, well, apparently I like AI music today. And that's what I'm listening to. It's a frequency playlist that, called Shift to Abundance that I love. What about you? What are you listening to? What's on your playlist?
I'm not listening to what people would stereotypical or stereotype me for what I listen to. But what I find quite relaxing is listening to classical covers of pop music or music that's just from the early 2000s or the 90s. It's quite relaxing and focuses my mind.
I think that's great. You did a mashup. You're like, give me 90s, do it classical. I'm gonna give my AI a bot that. Just give me 90s to a classical. I have to see it. So it's been great. Thank you so much for joining our podcast. I'm so glad that that the stars have aligned and we got to hear your thoughts because you really opened the playbook for using powerful tools like telemetry, but also powerful tools like collaboration, questions, and planning. And I really appreciate I had a great time. I hope you did too.
Oh, I certainly did, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Awesome. All right. Do you want to say goodbye to our heroes? See you later, heroes, with me? 3, 2, 1. See you later,
Bye.
heroes.